All right, so last week we were discussing about the Shamir and the demons. Shlomo was asking the demons where the Shamir is. And we explained that what is the connection between the demons and the Shamir, that they were both created by twilight, Bein Hashmashos. So really, there was a lot of things, many things that were created Bein Hashmashos and twilight. So this comes from Pirkei Avos, but we'll first go to the Mishnah before that. And it says like this: there was 10 miracles that happened in the Beis HaMikdash. So, what were the 10 miracles? Number 1, no woman miscarried from the odor of the sacred flesh. So even though there was a lot of meat in the Beis HaMikdash, which could cause, a woman to miscarry, and that would never happen. And 2, the sacred flesh never became putrid. It means it never became rotten. 3, no fly was ever seen in the slaughterhouse. Even though there were so many animals and blood all in the Beis HaMikdash, you wouldn't see a fly there. 4, no emission occurred to the high priest on Yom Kippur, which would be a type of tumah. 5, the rains did not extinguish the fire of the woodpile. We're in this thing here. 6, the wind did not prevail against the column of smoke. We know on the Mizbeach there was a column of smoke that would go straight up. So even though there was no roof in the place where the Mizbeach was, so there would be wind, but still the column would always go straight up and the wind would never move it and turn it from being straight. 7, no defect was found in the omer, or in the 2 loaves, or in the showbread. It was always kosher, there was no problems with it. 8, the people stood pressed together, yet bowed down and had room enough. Even though it was very squishy in the Beis HaMikdash, so many Jewish people came, but when it came to bow down in front of Hashem, all of a sudden everyone had room to bow. 9, never did a serpent or a scorpion harm anyone in Yerushalayim. 10, and no man said to his fellow, this place is too congested for me to lodge overnight in Yerushalayim. Somehow everyone had space, there was always space for everyone. So this is the Mishnah before the Mishnah speaking about twilight, about Bein Hashmashos, that's the topic today. So last week we mentioned 2 things that were created Bein Hashmashos, the Shamir and the demons. Then this got me interested to learn more about Bein Hashmashos and to see what other things were created then and what do they have in common. So this is the 10 things that were created on the eve of Shabbos at twilight, and these are they. So 1 is the mouth of the earth. What's the mouth of the earth? That's in the story of Korach, when the earth swallowed them up. The mouth of the well, that's the well of Miriam that gave water to the Jewish people in the desert. 3, the mouth of the donkey. We know that's Bilam's donkey. 4, the rainbow, the manna, the staff of Moshe, the shamir, the letters, and the writing. This is referring to the luchos, most commentaries explain. And we need to understand what's the difference between letters and writing. You would think that they're pretty much the same. And the luchos. So these are 3 things connected to the luchos: the letters, the writings, and the tablets. And some say also the demons. That's what we were talking about last time. The grave of Moshe and the ram of Abraham our father. And some say also tongues made with tongues. So all of these things were created by Bein Hashmashos. It's got me thinking, why specifically these things, and why were they created then? What's about these things specifically that they were created at this time in twilight? But the list goes further. So far, how many things do we have for Bein Hashmashos? If we're counting, and some say, this is already, the Mishnah lists 10 things, plus demons is 11, the grave of Moshe is 12, the ram of the Akedah, that's 13, and then tongues, that would be already 14. Now, if you think about it, when it was created by Bein Hashmashos, twilight, it's not a lot of time, and all these things are being created then. Now, there's something else. We know that Havdalah we do after Shabbos, so we use fire. Why do we use fire? Because the tradition is that the fire was created after Shabbos. That's when Adam, he took the two rocks and made fire from it. But we'll see that some people say that it was created on Erev Shabbos by twilight, Bein Hashmashos.
Not listed.
What?
Fire is not listed.
It's not listed. It's not listed in the Mishnah. But now we'll see a Gemara. This is a Gemara in Pesachim, and it lists other things that are not even listed in the Mishnah. The Gemara stated that fire was originally created at the conclusion of Shabbos. The Gemara asks, was fire created at the conclusion of Shabbos? Wasn't it taught in a Brisa? 10 miraculous phenomena were created in heaven on Shabbos Eve during twilight and were revealed in the world only later. There were Miriam's well and the manna that fell in the desert, the rainbow, the writing and the writing instrument and the tablets and the grave of Moshe here, and the cave in which Moshe and Eliyahu stood. It's adding another thing now. The opening of the mouth of Bilam's donkey, the opening of the earth's mouth to swallow the wicked. Then Rabbi Nehemiah said, in the name of his father, even the fire and the mule. So this is two additional things. The fire and the mule, which is a product of crossbreeding, were created at that time. So we see here that fire was created by Bein Hashmashos, not after Shabbos. Rabbi Yoshia said in the name of his father, even the ram slaughtered by Abraham and the shamir. Rabbi Yehuda said even the tongue. So most of it is like the Mishnah, but here we added two more things, the fire and the mule. So so what's the answer? When was it created? Is it after Shabbos or is it by Erev Shabbos, Bein Hashmashos? So the Gemara answers.
The mule, you mean the ram?
No, in general, this that we have a mule comes from then.
The mule?
I thought
yeah.
Jews weren't allowed to crossbreed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Crossbreed.
Certain animals.
Oh yeah, even the fire and the mule. Oh, the mule that Abraham used to carry.
Any mule.
Any mule. This is just mule in general.
Maybe
So,
God created the fact that they could breed together.
so that we're going to see that soon. That's an idea. Also, the Torah wasn't given then. But it's basically the ability, like you said, to be able to create something like that.
Why should two species be able to create a hybrid that,
What's the crossbreeding of a mule, a donkey and a horse?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we're still left with a question here. When was the fire created? Was it after Shabbos, like we do it by Havdalah, or was it Bein Hashmashos, like it says over here? So the Gemara answers that the thought arose in Hashem's mind to create on fire on Shabbos Eve. However, it was not actually created until the conclusion of Shabbos. So this is the answer. Hashem thought about it before Shabbos, and it was created, and it was actually brought into the world on Motzei Shabbos, after Shabbos. As it was taught in our Brisa, the Rabbi Yossi says, the thought of two phenomena arose in God's mind on Shabbos Eve, but were not actually created until the conclusion of Shabbos. At the conclusion of Shabbos, the Holy One, blessed be He, granted Adam, the first man, creative knowledge, similar to divine knowledge, and He brought two rocks and rubbed them against each other, and the first fire emerged from them. Adam also brought two animals, a female horse and a male donkey, like we just said, and mated them with each other, and the resultant offspring that emerged from them was a mule. So he did both of these things, Motzei Shabbos. We only make a remembrance for the fire. I don't think we do anything for the mule.
So the first Shabbos Adam Rishon did not light?
He didn't light before Shabbos. There was only a thought that Hashem had of creating fire, but the fire only happened after Shabbos. Yeah. Now, the Gemara adds another few things. And some say that even Aaron's staff was created then with its almonds and its blossoms. Some say that even the demons are created at this time, and some say that even the garments of Adam, the first man, were also created at this time. So if I counted correct, I think we have 19 things that were created all Bein Hashmashos, all by twilight. And you think about these things, what does it even mean that they were created then? Aaron's staff, but Aaron happened much later. Like all of these things happened much later in history. So what does it mean that it was created Bein Hashmashos? It was created Like why specifically this time? Why these things? And what does that even mean that they were created then? So this is something we have to look into. So what is Bein Hashmashos? So Bein Hashmashos is a very tricky time in halacha in general. What's the definition of Bein Hashmashos? So some people say that it's a suffix yom and suffix laila. It's a question if it's a day or if it's night. It means we're not sure. We don't know is it day or is it night. Another way of looking at it is that it's day and night. It's a little bit of both. There's a third opinion, which is it's a point. It's one point which is not day and not night, and therefore it's able to combine them. That's really what Bein Hashmashos is. It's something which is really beyond both. It's not like day and night. It's really something which is above day and above night. That's why it's able to connect these two things. So that's really what Bein Hashmashos is. It's a paradox of opposites, putting together two opposite things. And if you think about it, that's every day Bein Hashmashos.
It's related to the rotation of the earth on its axis.
That's what causes. That's when you see twilight, right?
It's a time of day.
Right, but you have the sunset and the two stars, and the period in between is indeterminate.
So even in halacha, there's a lot of questions. When exactly is Bein Hashmashos? Like when? How long is it? There's so many opinions about it. And I saw one of the Mefarshim say that, it says in the Mishnah, and some say, which means they're adding to the Bein Hashmashos. They're like saying, you could add a little bit more to the Bein Hashmashos, and Hashem created some more things in that time. So that's really what Bein Hashmashos is. Now that's every day. Erev Shabbos Bein Hashmashos is again the same thing, because you have the weekday and you have Shabbos. The time in between is the time that's between Shabbos and the week. So it's not only connecting day and night, it's connecting the week and Shabbos. So what I tried to find, once you have this idea of what Bein Hashmashos is, to find in all of these things how it combines two opposites. And I thought that it's fascinating to look at each one of these 19 things and to try to see how each one of them are connecting something with an opposite thing. So we'll try to go to them to explain what they are. So jumping a little bit, I'll say more outside, but it's where you see one. It's like a few pages into it, where you see Pi Haaretz. It's like I think it's the fourth page maybe.
Yeah.
You see Pi Haaretz.
The page which looks like multiple choice question.
Yeah. So Pi Haaretz. The first one is the mouth opening. So why does it call it a mouth? It's an interesting expression. If we're talking about the earth opening up, why do we call it Pi Haaretz, the mouth of the earth? So I discovered this pirush. I don't know, I never heard this before. And he says that when the earth swallowed up Korach, first of all, it sounded like an earthquake, which there is a sound. There's a quake, earthquake. It actually makes a sound. But he says more than that. He says not only did it make like a natural sound of an earthquake, the earth actually spoke. And it said, you guys are going down, down, down in here because of what you did. And
Korach and his followers are trapped between him and life. They're trapped in life and death.
see Bein Hashmashos. You see they're trapped. They're down here down there.
There's a famous Talmudic story of the Arab, the Bedouin, who shows the rabbi the opening that he says was the place, and he puts his ear to it. And there's
Moshe Moshe. I was just exactly. So there you have a mixture of both. They're down under, but they're still alive. And it's a transformation. Instead of them fighting against Moshe, they're saying Moshe is true and his Torah is true. So there you see a combination of opposites. That's Bein Hashmashos.
Under a ledge, underneath.
Yeah, it says Hashem made a special ledge for them, and then we know that some of the sons of Korach, they were Leviim, and they were part of Tehillim. A lot of that is from the sons of Korach. Yes, that's what it says over here actually. You see, Shagam b'sha'ol, the third one, even in Sha'ol, even in the deepest place, they're screaming, Moshe emes v'sarasai emes, v'anachnu badoim, and we were false, we were wrong. So that's how you see that in the Pi Haaretz. It's interesting. The first three things that the Mishnah says are all with a mouth. It says the mouth of the earth, the mouth of the well, and the mouth of the donkey, of Bilam's donkey. So this Pirush says that all three were speaking. The earth was speaking, the well was speaking, and the donkey spoke. They all had a mouth. So the earth speaking we just said. What about the well? When did the well speak?
Miriam's well.
Miriam's well. So there's a Pirush, another commentary that says that there was a special song, it says in Parshas Chukas, that was connected to the well. They were singing, and it says that the well itself was singing to Hashem.
When the Egyptians were, they sure.
So later on, there was a story in Bamidbar that there was enemies of the Jews that were hiding in the rocks, and then the two mountains came together and crushed the enemies, and then they saw the blood in the well of Miriam. So it says that the Jewish people sang a song then. But this Pirush says that it wasn't just the Jewish people singing; the well was also singing. Pi Be'er, the well was singing. Now, what's the idea of the well of Miriam? The idea of the well is to bring water. Bring water. Where were the Jewish people? In a desert. How do you have water in a desert? That's also two opposites coming together. It says wherever the Jewish people traveled, all of a sudden there would be a mouth kind of that would open up from the desert and water would come out. That's again two opposites. You're having water in a desert. Then you have Bilam's donkey. So what do you see there again? A mouth of a donkey. Here you see, you have human, like a person speaking, and you have an animal. So you have that coming together, which are two opposite things. And why did this happen? Why did Hashem make this miracle of the donkey speaking? That's an interesting miracle. Why would Hashem do that? Hashem made miracles, let's say, to cross, the Jewish people should be able to cross over the water in dry land. We understand that. But why did Hashem make that, that the donkey should speak? So it's an amazing thing. Hashem was giving Bilam the power to do teshuvah. He was trying that Bilam should get the message, change your ways. Don't go and curse the Jewish people. And when was Hashem thinking about this? To give Bilam the power to do tshuva, Erev Shabbos Bein Hashmashos. In this little time of twilight, of Erev Shabbos Bein Hashmashos, when he's thinking about all these other things, he's thinking about Bilam and creating the mouth of a donkey. It's really amazing, how Hashem is using this small little amount of time and thinking about Bilam to bring him to teshuvah. And this is again the same theme, teshuvah is a transformation, taking Bilam, which is so far from Hashem, and giving him the chance to return. It also says in the Zohar that Bilam, his whole power came through his donkey. He wasn't just a regular donkey, he was using the donkey as a certain power, a certain klipa to be able to fight the Jewish people. So by the donkey talking and going against him, that's again two opposites. So that's again a transformation, how he's trying to use the donkey to fight the Jews, and now it's talking back to him and, actually embarrassing him, saying like, where are you going?
Who said the donkey was the source of his power?
The Zohar, that's what it says in Kabbalah. Now, if we're already thinking on this pattern, the next one is easy on the next page, the rainbow. What is a rainbow? Many colors, right? So there you have it again. You have all these different colors coming together. You see the Bein Hashmashos, the twilight colors, the rainbow, that's the same idea. It's all coming together. And then this is something interesting. The Mefarshim ask, when did Hashem say that there will be a rainbow?
That it's a proof of God.
After the Mabul, right? After they sinned, and the rainbow is a sign that Hashem won't punish the world and won't destroy the world. So they ask, what does it mean that the rainbow only came about then? We know that a rainbow is a natural, occurrence based on the clouds and the sun. So what does it mean that this will be a sign? Like Hashem is saying, now I'm giving you the rainbow. The rainbow is
No end to a rainbow.
and there's also, like we would think, it's not like Hashem just made it after the Mabul. You would think that the rainbow was there before. So what happened after the Mabul that Hashem is saying, like, now this shall be a sign for you? Like, what type of sign is that? It's like saying the sun coming up in the morning, that's a sign. But it happens every day. So what was the sign of the rainbow? So there's many answers to this. One answer is given was that in order to see a rainbow, there has to be a certain purity in the air, that you should be able to see the reflection of the sun through the clouds and the whole thing. Before the Mabul, the world was so thick and coarse, you weren't able to see the rainbow through the clouds and everything, because the world was just so filthy, both spiritually and physically. So only after the Mabul, they were able to see the rainbow. So it's not that it wasn't there before, just you weren't able to see it. So the seeing the rainbow is actually a sign that the world is refined and it is able to connect to Hashem. So there you see again the connection, between the higher and the lower, that it's being reflected. So that's again a Bein Hashmashos type of thing. Moving on to the man. So the man is also easy to understand. Man is a food. It's being eaten by people, but it's a food from heaven. Again, two opposites. You have something from Shemayim being eaten and becoming part of human. And it actually affected the people in a way that the people that ate the man were refined, and that's why the Torah was given to them. It says specifically the people that ate the man were able to receive the Torah. Then you have the mata, you have the staff of Moshe. So a staff is a hard stick. A stick is something that's separated from the tree. So you would think that it's not as strong, it's separated from the tree, but that actually gives the strength. That's why it's a hard staff. So,
isn't there an opinion their staff is sapphire?
Yes.
So that's not tree.
So that's not a tree. So that would have to represent something else.
But the two opposites could be that one possibility it was hard as sapphire, yet it also was supple as a snake.
Where do you see that it was supple?
When he turned it to a snake.
Oh, when he turned it into a snake.
So now it's wriggling and writhing around. It's no longer hard as sapphire, which is almost as hard as diamond. That's one possibility. But the other is it's a very material object, and yet it is the vehicle by which Moses performed miracles.
These miracles.
So there's a huge opposition.
Yes. From one hand, it's so physical, like you see, it doesn't look like it has any life to it. It's just a staff.
It's mundane.
But that's making all these miracles happen. So that's one of the things I mentioned. Yes, we're thinking alike. Another thing, it says that this staff of Moshe that he used to split the sea was actually the same staff of Yaakov, and it says it goes back even to Adam Harishon. They were using all the same stick, the same staff.
Yaakov is a staff for what?
So it says that Yaakov he was using sticks for the sheep when they were passing.
Oh, okay.
And it says that
So later, yeah.
Now, what did Moshe use the staff for? To split the sea, which means he was taking water and making it into dry land. So that's again.
He's dividing and Yaakov is dividing the sheep.
And the sticks also, he had 3 different types of sticks, which also represent these different things. So that's the staff. Then we have the shamir. So the shamir is also a combination of 2 opposites. The shamir, it's where there's 4 on the top of the page.
Yeah, I got number 7.
Number 7. So the shamir is created from the water. We didn't see this last time, but it says that the shamir was actually a sea creature. It's created in the water. But at the same time, where was it? Where was it found? It was found by the wild cock, which was in the dry land. The shamir is able to cut something without making anything missing. That's two opposites. Usually when you cut something, it's with iron, with something which could kill. Over here, you're cutting with something which is not harmful. So that there you see that again. And then we had the letter and the writing. What are these two things, the letters and the writing?
I'm thinking, sorry, back to the shamir.
Yeah.
So Rabbi Akiva noticed a hole in the stone that was cut by dripping water. And he said, if the water can, make an impression on the stone, then surely I can learn Torah, and he went and learned Torah. So they knew that water could cut stone. So now you have something there's another opposite. You got stone, which is incredibly hard, and you got water, which seems incredibly soft, and yet water cuts stone. So it makes sense that the shamir is made as a creature from water because it cuts stone like water cuts stone. And the other is that whole idea of the hard and the soft.
Yeah, that's a nice connection. And tying it back to the Gemara we learned last week, one of the things, they asked the demons, and then the demon said, go to Ashmedai, and then Ashmedai said, go to the master of the sea. Why did they go to the master of the sea? What does he know about the shamir? So this is what one of the commentaries say, because the shamir is a sea creature. It's made out of the water. But that wasn't enough. The master of the sea said, it's not by me, go to the wild cock. Why? Because the shamir, his job is to cut things. And the sea is usually considered one body. It's like, all the water is together. Cutting is kind of the opposite. That's more like dry land, where things are divided and separate. So,
what is the cock's job?
Lahavchin ben yom ben laila. So, and then we said that bird also is able to cut a mountain into two. So that's again, divisions. So that's why the master of the sea said, you won't find it by me. You have to go to the dry land. But then, you see the shamir having both of these aspects of water and dry land.
There's an interesting other lesson, which is many of the ancient religions have a binary, good and evil, and they're separate. So all of these creations create separation. But you can learn from this by contrast that God is a singularity.
And very good. That's why he's connecting all these things, all these opposites.
Well, not just that, but he's the source of separation. So he's not separate. By contrast, everything he creates has separation or combination or whatever, but he is one in the true sense of the word. So you could just say that by contrast, God, which is completely different than anything that we can perceive, is different than the concept of separateness.
Mm-hmm. So from one hand, Hashem is beyond separation, but in all these things that were created Bein Hashmashos, you do see how opposites could become one. That's what's amazing. You could see even in the creation things that have this idea of being one, of being echad.
Right. So he brings together separateness, but the lesson you can derive from that is he's the master of both sides of the equation that he brings together.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a separate being in charge of darkness and evil and so forth, then God and this being would have to work together to bring these opposites together, because one would be in charge of one opposite and the other be in charge of the other opposite. And Judaism says that's an abomination. We don't think that way.
Yeah, so that's here you see it in Bein Hashmashos, so everything really works together. But that's not the usual thing. Usually we see things as separate, but at such a special time, we see how these opposites come together. So we have the letter and the writing. What is that? So there's a lot of different pirushim in what this means. But you have letters, and then you have the shape of the letters, which could also mean like the letter and the spirit behind the letter. It says when Moshe Rabbeinu, when he threw the luchos, what happened? It says he felt that the spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, left the letters when the Jewish people sinned. So then, there was no holiness within the letters, so he just broke the luchos. So you see over there again, kind of the neshama and the guf, the body and the spirit. You have the letters, the actual letters, and then you have the ruach that's in them. So that could be like the letter and the writing, like the person writing that's involved in the thing. And the luchos are, again, what are the luchos? The luchos are a stone, but they're made by Hashem. They're handmade by Hashem. So there you see again these two opposites, and the letters are engraved. One thing is engraved in the other. That's again two things becoming one. That's why it's number 10. That's like the ultimate connection. When something is engraved, you have two things that are really uniting and becoming one, and that ties back to the shamir. The shamir was engraving. That's what it was doing. It was carving these letters in the stones, of the Kohen Gadol.
So Moshe must have used a metal implement to make the second glucose.
You're saying the second one wasn't made by Hashem?
No.
Because it says, Maish aseh lecha, you should make.
Yeah.
Unless he was using the shamir. I don't know. It only came later.
The first ones were the ones where God created them, and the letters were shot right through the stone. And obviously they were just, the whole thing was created out of nothingness. But Moshe had to, I think Moshe made the second set, and that means he had to have done it the Apiteva.
Right. Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. We didn't make the second temple with stone with metal implements, but we don't know anything about how Moses made his second tablets.
Yeah, I guess it doesn't. We have to look more into how he did that, how he carved it. But yeah, we know that he made it out of sapphire, and Moshe became rich from the extra. There was a lot of extra carving of the luchas, and Moshe became rich.
What's interesting about sapphire and stone is that the Egyptians did all their drilling and carving and stone work using string impregnated with sapphire granules, like a sandpaper. So you could saw stone with a string coated with sapphire and glue. And you can look around. If you go to Egypt, there's like quarries where there's like boreholes and cylinders cut out of rock, and you can see the winding of the string, the marks from the winding of the string in it.
Wow.
So that and it's just kind of interesting that the shamir is this worm that can cut stone, and what does a string covered with sapphire granules look like, but maybe a worm? So. It's kind of an interesting parallel.
That is interesting. You see a stone looking like a type of worm or snake.
A stone cutting tool.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 10.
You could have possibly etched stone with sapphire. It would have taken a while.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what Moshe used to do that. Okay, then we have the mazikim, the demons. So the demons are a perfect example of, again, two opposites coming together. We said last time that demons have things that are similar to humans and have things that are similar to angels. So that's, again, why were they created Bein Hashmashos? Because they're in between. They're between people and the malachim. Why did Hashem create them Bein Hashmashos, specifically at this time? It's because He wanted us to be able to transform and take something which is negative, and even that, to be able to lift it up to Kedusha. Then we have Moshe Rabbeinu, the place where Moshe Rabbeinu is buried. So where is Moshe buried? In a mountain, but we don't know exactly where. The mountain, Mount Nevo. Where exactly? There's a story in the Gemara that there is two groups of soldiers that were tackling the mountain. They're like, we're going to find where Moshe is buried. It has to be somewhere here. There is one group of soldiers went to the top. The other one said, we take the bottom. We're going to find where Moshe is buried. And it says what happened was, the ones on top, it appeared to them that it was below. The group that was below, it appeared to them that it was above. And it was fulfilled what the pasuk says, that till today no one knows where Moshe is buried, because it's unknown. What is Bein Hashmashos? It's the unknown. It's the time that's in between. We don't know exactly. We don't know exactly when it is. It could be night. It could be day. Moshe's burial. He's beyond that. We don't know exactly.
I was distracted by an alarm going off. So who were these two groups of people?
And there's a group of soldiers. I forgot.
Jewish soldiers?
No. And they said that they're going to find where Moshe Rabbeinu is buried. And one
was this during the time of Moshe, or was this
much later? Yeah. It's in the end of Saita, the Gemara Saita, it brings this story. That basically you see that it's in between the higher and the lower. Wherever they thought Moshe Rabbeinu was, the ones that were on top, it appeared to them to be below. The ones that thought that it was below, it was above, because that's exactly what Bein Hashmashos is. Then there is the ram of Avram Avinu in the story of the Akedah. So what is that? You have Avraham and Yitzchak. Avraham is binding Yitzchak. Avraham we know is Chesed. Yitzchak is Gevurah. Avraham taking this ram is again connecting day and night, Chesed and Gevurah. So there you see that again. Then you have the two prongs. It says that.
You can also say that Avram Chesed, Ish Chesed was acting with Gevurah.
With Gevurah.
And Yitzchak, Ish Gevurah was acting with Chesed
by letting him do it. So you see double. Okay, so that's excellent. Then we have the prongs. So what's the idea of the prongs? So
the tongs.
The tongs, you're right. Sorry. So the tongs is, in order to make them, you need to have another pair of tongs, because how are you going to put it in the fire? So that's the idea. Usually we learn that the first ones Hashem made. So where do we see here two things? So first of all, tongs is usually made up of two parts, right? Now, before we mentioned that there is the fire and the mule were created Bein Hashmashos. And what does that mean? That the thought about it was created. So that's basically the idea of potential. What is potential? Potential is between something that does not exist at all and something which exists. It's between nothing and something. Potential is in between. So when Bein Hashmashos is really about potential. Hashem was creating the potential for certain things. He created the potential for Adam to take the two rocks and to create fire. He created the potential of taking a donkey and a horse and make a mule. Hashem created the potential to take two rocks or take two pieces of wood and to make tongues out of them. So all of these things, they share the same idea that Hashem was creating the potential for it. It only came out into the world later, but all these things, Hashem created the potential for it. And that really explains, what does it mean that Hashem created Aaron's staff then, or, he was creating the potential for all these things. Then you have the cave that Moshe and Eliyahu were in. What's the story with that? It says that Hashem appeared to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to see Hashem, and Hashem said, go into this cave. And into the rock. And Hashem said, I'll pass by the rock and you'll be able to see me. But you'll only be able to see my back, right? So how could a person see Hashem? That's again two opposites. Seeing through a cave, so that ties in very well. The mule and the fire we just went through. Then you have the staff of Aaron. Why did Hashem make the miracle of the staff of Aaron? So Korach, he was saying that being a Kohen is something which, you could change. Like, first of all, I don't really agree that it belongs to Aaron. But even if it belongs to Aaron, how do you know that it should go over to his descendants? Maybe it's something that you could change with it. And Hashem was showing with the miracle of the staff, it says that it blossomed and it had almonds from the staff. But it didn't just pop almonds in 1 second. It says that there was first the little leaves, and then they fell off, and then it turned into almonds. So we see over there, you have a miracle that's taking a natural order. It's not like, okay, here you have a staff and here you have almonds. There was the whole process that usually takes for almonds to grow, just it happened very quickly. So there you see again, miracle and nature coming together. Aaron being a Kohen, it's also natural, it becomes part of his descendants. And the last one, the garments of Adam Harishon. The garments of Adam Harishon, in the Torah it says that they were garments of leather, kasnais ur. Now, in the Torah, usually most of the Torahs have the same version, right? You don't expect to have differences in the actual scroll of the Torah. But the Gemara says about Rabbi Meir's Torah that instead of saying garments of of leather with the ayin, it said kosmos with the aleph, garments of light. And here you see the same thing again. Garments, why do we usually wear garments? To cover, to conceal. But here, Meir was saying garments of light. So here you see the same idea where you have garments, something which is concealing, and it's really revealing, it's bringing out light. So that again was created by Bein Hashmashos. So what's the lesson over here from all these things that were created Bein Hashmashos? So first of all, we learn a lesson of how to utilize time. Just in this little amount of time of Bein Hashmashos, which could be a point, which you can't even define as time, Hashem created 19 things, which means the world wasn't perfect. Hashem created the world 6 days of creation, and it still wasn't complete. He had to create 19 more things in Bein Hashmashos. Look what you could accomplish in just a minute. Hashem made all these things in the last moment, right before it was Shabbos. It's funny, a lot of times people realize right before Shabbos, I have so many things to do. You somehow accomplish them all right before the Bein Hashmashos. This is what Hashem did. He did 19 things all in this little time of Bein Hashmashos. So,
That's establishing the precedent for Jews running around like crazy.
yeah. But, Hashem gave the power that you could really do so much in just a little bit of time. Now, if you think about it, we are now in the time of Bein Hashmashos. We know that the 6 days of creation are connected to the 6,000 years, that the world is around before Mashiach comes. And now, we're at the end. We are now by Bein Hashmashos. And just like all these incredible things were created then, and all of these things are miracles. These are not regular things, that, that an earth should have a mouth and that a donkey should have a mouth. But without these things, the world wouldn't be complete, which is basically saying that what we're doing now at the end of time, we are completing whatever Hashem had in mind in the whole creation. Just like the world would not be complete without these 19 things, and it all depends on what happened Bein Hashmashos. So everything that we do now, this is what it's about. This is right before Shabbos, between the Golus and the time of Geula. We are now in the time of Bein Hashmashos. So, this is really, really a special time. So, this was all about Bein Hashmashos. Now, once we have this idea, that the whole Gemara that we learned about the Shamir could be explained, in this way. If we look back in the story of our Gemara and we think about the different opposites that were going on. Let's see, where was it over here? So it's on page 141. So we'll just go through the Gemara quickly, but having this lens, this vision on, I think it helps understand this Gemara. So on page 141, in the Ein Yaakov, so we started off bringing the pasuk that Shlomo HaMelech said, I have made for myself male singers and female singers. Right, that's what we started off. So what's the name of the king? King Shlomo. What's Shlomo? Shalom, making peace between opposites, right? So that's the whole premise, that everything is asisi li, what King Shlomo is making. But it could be explained that this is really talking about Hashem. Hashem is saying, I have made these opposites. King Shlomo, Malach Shel Shalom Shalo.
Is this Kedushin 61b?
Gittin 141, page 141. 68a.
Or 44.
I like Kedushin. Gittin comes after Kedushin?
Gittin is before. It's much earlier.
Okay, 141.
Okay, so it says that Shlomo HaMelech made, he said, I provided with myself male and female singers. So first of all, why is it King Shlomo? Why are we talking about Shlomo? Because the concept over here is to combine two opposites. Shlomo is about shalom, it's about making peace. So what does he have? Male singers and female singers. So that's already two opposites, male and female. Then we said Shida and Shidos. What are Shida and Shidos? So we said male and female. Why do we need both? Why do we need a Shida and a Shidos? Because we're trying to find where you're combining the two opposites. That's why we need to have the male and the female, both in the Shida and the Shidos. The Gemara explained that male and female singers are different types of musical instruments. Then it says, Shlomo Melech also made delights of mankind. These are pools and baths. What is pools and baths? One is hot, one is cold. Right, do you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so pools and baths, cold,
Summer and winter.
summer and winter. So here again we see the two opposites coming together. Cold water pools for summer bathing and hot baths for winter use. So here we see again. I see it again in the Gemara. It's just like these opposites coming together. Shida and Shidos. Here in Babylonia, they interpreted as meaning male and female demons, and in Eretz Yisrael, they are meant as chariots. Now, this is something interesting. We know that a Merkava, a chariot, is something good, something very holy. It's like a chariot for Hashem. And how could the same word mean a demon or a chariot? You know, what's happening over here? This is again two opposites coming together. The demons are not here to go against Hashem. The Gemara is actually trying to show that everything in the world is here to be a chariot for Hashem. All these things that Shlomo needed to use to find the Shamir, which is serving in the Beis HaMikdash, all of these things had to come together in order for Shlomo to have the Shamir. Then Rabbi Yochanan said that there was 300 types of demons, and he says the essence of a demon, I don't know. And again, what does it mean, I don't know? It's in between zone, Bein Hashmashos, right? And then the Gemara says that Shlomo Melech, he wanted to make the Shamir. Now, what was Shlomo's question? Why couldn't he find the Shamir? Because a Shamir is hard to find. How do you find something that's going to do two opposite things? How are you going to find something that cuts something and still is not missing anything? So who does he go to? He goes to the rabbis. He says, how shall I do this? How am I supposed to do this? How is it possible? So he says, bring a male and female demon and apply pressure to them. What does it mean to apply pressure to them? So I saw one of the Mefarshim means, it means to merge them together, mix them together. To take the male demon and female demon, unite them, and that's how you're going to find the Shamir. Why do you need to unite them to find the Shamir? Because again, in order to get two opposites, we first need to connect the other opposites, the shade and the shida. And then what did they do? They said, let's maybe Ashmedai knows. What is Ashmedai? Ashmedai was the king of demons. So they said he's in such and such mountain. He dug a pit for himself, and every day he goes up to the heaven and studies in the heavenly academy, and then descends to earth and studies with the earthly academy. What do we see here again? He is between the heaven and the earth. He's studying in the heavenly academy and the earth. So here you see again the demons connecting the higher and the lower. What does he drink? The demon is drinking water. Why is it drinking water? Because what is a demon? Too hot. Here you see again, fire and water. So who's going to be the person that's charged with this mission? So that's Benayahu ben...
Not just water, but water and earth.
Water and earth.
Yeah. Fire and air, water and earth.
Okay. So
because it's a pit. Water's in a pit. It's not a vessel.
It's in the pit, so it's in the earth. So we get Benayahu ben Yehoyada, and he has a few things that he's given. He gets a chain, the name of Hashem, a ring with the name of Hashem. Then you have balls of wool and skins of wine. So I'll just focus on the last two. You have skins of wine and balls of wool. So wool, we know, wool is soft. It represents chesed, kindness. Wine is red. That's usually connected to gevura.
I'm still listening.
What?
I'm still listening.
Oh, you're still listening. Then what happens when he wakes up? He says, he's tied in these chains, and he says, "The name of Hashem is on you. The name of Hashem is on you." Then on the way, what happens? He bumps into a tree, and he knocks it down. He reaches a house, and he knocks it down. And then he comes to the third thing, which is the little hut of this widow. And then she begs him, "Please, don't break my hut." And then that breaks his bone.
That breaks his what?
That breaks one of his bones.
Right.
So what do you see again? Soft words breaking a bone. Again, two opposites coming together. And what does he see? He sees a blind man, which is, he's going off the path. He's not going on the right path, and he brings him back to the way. He sees someone that's drunk, and he brings him back on the road. He sees someone that's happy, and then he starts crying. Look how many opposite things are coming together here. A person is making a shoe for 7 years, and he's laughing. Why? Because this person is preparing for the future, but he doesn't know what's happening now. So that's present and future. Then there was a person that was doing magic, and he was laughing again. Okay, so then finally they come to Shlomo HaMelech, and he says, "I'm only going to come on 3 days, after 3 days." Why 3? 3 is the number of shalom. 3 is the number of peace. When you have 2 is opposites. 3 is when you have unity, when you have harmony. So specifically on the third day, when Shlomo HaMelech is able to speak with the demons. So that's again, it had to be the third day. The first day, so Shlomo HaMelech, he was drinking too much. The next day, he was eating too much. And finally, the third day, he meets him. So then, the demon asks Shlomo HaMelech, "What do you want from me?" So he says, "I just want the shamir for the Beis HaMikdash." So he said, "I gave it over to the master of the sea." We mentioned before why the master of the sea, because he was created from the water. He's a sea creature, but it wasn't given to me, it was only given to the wild cock. So here we see again water and land. And then what does the wild cock do every day? It says that he goes to a mountain where there's no habitat for vegetation. He places it on the mountain's peak, whereupon the mountain cracks open slightly. So it says before it wasn't a place for vegetation, and now it is. So that's again transforming it. So basically, if you count all these things that are happening in the Gemara, I think you see pretty clearly like a common thread between this whole story, that what Shlomo HaMelech was trying to do here, he was trying to connect two opposite things. He needed that for the Beis HaMikdash. But in order to get that to the Beis HaMikdash, he was trying to find that in the whole world. He was trying to find that in the demons, he was trying to find that in the water and in the dry land, and in this whole story. And this is really showing us, the power that a Yid has and the Beis HaMikdash, that we are really made up of opposite things. And because we're connected to Hashem Echad, we have the ability to transform it and to make it all into one.
Which is what the Beis HaMikdash does itself. Exactly.
So that's why the Shamir was connected to the Beis HaMikdash. Do we have just a few more minutes? Mincha now.
You take the 5 minutes that I robbed you from.
So if we go back to this booklet over here, on the
Plenty of time to get to you. Just there.
second to last page, So we know that there's 13 principles of faith, the Yud Gimel Ikrim of that we believe in. And I was thinking that maybe the things that were created Bein Hashmashos are connected to these 13 things. So the first thing that we believe in is that Hashem exists. The staff that Moshe Rabbeinu, was making the miracle was in order to make the Egyptians believe that Hashem exists. The second thing is that Hashem is one, so I guess that you have to use that twice. And then we believe that Hashem is not a body. Hashem does not have any physical image. So that might be connected to the demons, because the demons don't really have a body.
Where's the Muslim?
Demus is an image. Not only is he not a body, he doesn't even have any shape or image of a body. So that might be connected to the demons, because the demons don't really have a body like we do. Gimel, yeah. The fourth thing is that Hashem is Kadmain. Hashem is the first. Nothing exists before him. That could be reminded to us by the tongues. Hashem made the first one. The fifth thing is that we do not serve anything other than Hashem. That's be like the Shamir, which is created to serve in the Beis HaMikdash. And that was the whole creation of the Shamir, just for service of Beis HaMikdash. Then there's the idea of that Hashem knows the thoughts of people. Hashem hashkacha, Hashem looks and takes care of what's going on down here. That might be connected to the man and the well where Hashem was providing for the Jewish people. Then we believe in prophecy.
Why is your Bein Hashmashos connected to the man and the bird?
It's the idea of hashkacha, the idea that Hashem is supervising and caring, looking after people, knowing their needs. It's
okay.
Adam is
I see, with food and drink. Taking care.
Adam is Adam?
Yeah. And then, or Adam, B'nai Adam is people, like just Hashem generally. And then the idea of prophecy, called Derei Neviim Emes, so that you see in the donkey, Bilam was a prophet. Some people say that the whole story of the donkey happened in Bilam's dream, so that's even part of a prophecy. And then the fact that we believe in Moshe Rabbeinu, that Moshe is a true prophet, that we saw by the story of Korach. They were questioning, they did not believe that what Moshe Rabbeinu said is true, and they got swallowed up. And then the fact that the Torah is from the Shamayim, we see that by the letter and the writing, it was miraculous the way the letters were placed in the luchos. Then we have that the Torah will never change. Hashem will never give us another Torah. So that's like the luchos, set in stone. It's engraved, it's hard, it's not going to change. There's reward and punishment. We see that the rainbow came after the Mabul, which was a punishment. We believe that Mashiach is coming. That's connected to the ram of Avram Avinu, that we know one of the horns of the ram of Avram will be used for the shofar of Mashiach. And then Tchias HaMesim, we believe in the resurrection. That's connected to the kever of Moshe Rabbeinu, because we're hoping and waiting for Mashiach to come.
Which one are you on?
The last one.
Oh, Yud Aleph, Keshes, Achrei,
Hamabel. So the rainbow after the flood. So that was a punishment. So that represents the idea of reward and punishment.
Okay.
And then Mashiach, Yahweh Malach HaMashiach, that's connected to the ram of Avram Avinu. Then the Tchias HaMesim is connected to Kivrei Shel Moshe Rabbeinu, to the place where Moshe Rabbeinu was buried, because we're waiting for Tchias HaMesim. Moshe should be resurrected from there. The last page I'm not going to go through. I'll just, if anyone wants to look at it, these 10 things that were created to Erev Shabbos Bein Hashmashos, they correspond to the 10 spheros, to the 10 utterances that Hashem said, to the 10 miracles in the Beis HaMikdash, and to the 10 types of miracles altogether. So I tried to make a chart. I don't know if it makes it easier or more dizzy, but you could kind of see how all these things line up. It's incredible how the 10 utterances that Hashem said to